workplace might consider becoming more environmentally sustainable for various reasons. There is an obligation to protect the environment from long-term harm. By doing the right thing today, there will be no need to repair the damage in the future. There is a social obligation that the workplace has, and it needs to be active in utilising sustainable work practices and not be wasteful of precious resources. A company can improve its standing with the community by adopting sustainable practices. There is an economic benefit in reducing waste and so reduce operating costs. A company can look for efficiencies and so reduce energy consumption. The company can look at the products it purchases with a view to minimise waste and reduce disposal costs. The company can look at its existing practices with a view to reduce the impact on the environment and so reduce costs. The first thing that needs to happen is for a company to perform an audit on its current practices to identify sustainable issues. This does the following. It provides a benchmark so that there can be a starting point. Any changes that are implemented can be monitored and the improvement can be measured. The change needs to be done in a systematic way so that the process becomes achievable and that the more important items are done first. Procedures need to be developed so that everyone in the company has guidelines to follow when dealing with sustainable issues. To perform the audit, collect all the utility accounts and record the costs. Identify all the devices that consume the resources. Take an audit of how waste is dealt with on the premises. Is it possible to replace older technology that uses more resources with more efficient technology? Is there a way to reduce waste by purchasing alternative products that have less waste? Can recycling be introduced to reduce the waste costs? Once the changes are identified and the procedures are developed, they need to be implemented. The process can't stop there. The process needs to be monitored for its effectiveness. The next step is to review the procedures with a view to improving them. It is important to see that the processes implemented are achieving their environmental, social and economic goals. Failure to consider environmental issues can result in expensive cleanups and substantial fines imposed by government enforcing legislation. Before carrying out the work, it is standard practice to conduct a job safety analysis, and hazards are identified and the procedures for completing the task is developed. It would be good practice to incorporate environmentally sustainable practices into the procedures at the analysis stage so that the work is done safely, efficiently and incorporates sustainability. When working outdoors, sustainable work practices should include erosion and sediment control, in which measures are put in place to prevent soil eroding from the site into stormwater drains, roadways or waterways. Air pollution suppression, such as ensuring no dust leaves the site. Motorised machinery is well maintained and used efficiently, not left idling unnecessarily. Preventing water flow from the site, including water pumped from open trenches from entering stormwater system or waterways. Dealing correctly with vegetation, including appropriate use of pesticides. Disposing of and or recycling waste products. When working indoors, sustainable work practices should include energy usage and where efficiencies in usage can be made, waste disposal and recycling, disposing of chemicals and toxic materials. Waste disposal and recycling are generally a part of all sustainable work practices. 3 ways to minimise problems caused by waste products are avoidance, reducing the amount of waste generated, resource recovery, reuse, recycling, reprocessing and energy recovery, disposal, management of all disposal options in the most environmentally responsible manner. This is the least desirable option. Waste is classified in certain ways, although classifications might vary between state territory legislation. The West Australian Department of Water and Environmental Regulation has 15 broad waste groups that are controlled and can't be dumped in normal landfill. The transportation of these materials needs to be tracked and reported to the department. A complete list of controlled waste can be downloaded from the department website. Waste recycling is practiced in most energy sector organisations. Recycling allows used materials to be changed into new products, which is usually more efficient and less polluting compared to manufacturing the product from raw materials. Examples of recyclable waste materials or products typically produced by the energy sector organisation include paper and cardboard, timber, transformer and motor oil, metals, some types of light globes, building and construction material, vegetation, plastics. Waste products that have economically salvageable or hazardous materials and are therefore considered recyclable include electronic computer circuit boards, rare metals including gold, lead acid batteries, lead, items such as some types of lamps that contain hazardous metals, for example mercury, which can be removed for reuse.